All right, I want to talk about, sadly, why I take hiatuses off my Facebook pages, uh, because I mean, it's always great to take a tolerance break from social media, you know. So, anyways, I was back on, and I guess I'm in this group growing up in Oxnard, and I put up a post, and basically you won't understand my point of view until you move out of Oxnard. Now, I lived in Oxnard for over 50 years, 52 to be exact. And I actually got burnt out living there. However, um, when I was living there, I would brag to my sisters who all lived in the Midwest and back east, like, yeah, Oxnard's got great weather, this, that, great, 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 great. At the same time, I didn't give any thought of moving out here in the South or Kentucky or to any other state because I thought, hey, California's great. That is until I moved out here. And then I finally saw what California really is. And don't get me wrong, the geography there is beautiful. It is beautiful. But as for the laws and the attitude of people that I've experienced growing there, and you got to know, I grew up in Oxnard, and if that needs to be explained, it's kind of like out of Ventura County. It's like the hood of all the cities in Ventura County, if you know what I mean. And they've always had a, Mexican gang culture or just gang culture. But, I mean, I was young and, there was gangs back then. And I kind of grew up in that kind of culture. I've been to Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, Oakland. I've been in Stockton. I've been in some hoods, and I know what it's like to live in the hood, and the attitudes, of people who live in California. Now I move out here to Kentucky, and it's totally different, and that's why, sometimes I think to myself, man, I should have moved out of California for a long time ago, and I wish I knew, but I didn't, and I had HAD. Had pride in living in California. California, will always be a part of me. However, I just can't see how people could live there nowadays. I mean, seriously. And if you live there, and I know you may disagree with me, or maybe pride might, speak for yourself. I don't know. People get emotional when I tell them the brutal truth of what, in hindsight, how I think living there is just a bad choice. And the reason why, bad choice financially, let's put it that way. And if you're a gun enthusiast, a bad choice to live there too. And I'm both. I mean, I'm a gun enthusiast, and financially, I mean, I could have lived there, but at the same time, I was selling cannabis on the side just so I could, keep up with my bills. And I had roommates because I lived alone in my house. And that's just keep up with bills. Then I moved here to Kentucky, and I have a 2-bedroom apartment. I have a, what do you call that? A tiny home I'm building on my sister's land on 2 acres that eventually I will buy off of them. And I got all the toys of my dreams that I've always wanted, and thought, man, I don't know, I have to save up a lot of money for these toys, which is both my Harleys, both. I have 2 Harleys. One's a custom chopper, which I've always wanted, and I've owned a custom chopper before, and a hot rod. I mean, I've owned custom cars, muscle cars, coming up in Oxnard. But this one car that I have now was my dream car, and I never thought I would ever end up with one, but I did, and it happened here in Kentucky. Uh, what gets to me is the cost of living and the laws in California. Dude, I mean, now, I know my friends in California may disagree with me or whatnot, but because you guys lived there, like, and felt the way I did. Um, Key word is did, because I don't feel like that anymore. And I can tell you this much, and I don't say this out of spite or anything. I'm just being totally honest. And after experience living here, I will never move to California again unless someone buys me a house, pays my utilities, and moves me to Northern Cali where the country is. Basically, Humboldt, Mendocino, and Trinity counties. Up there, because I do not want to live in any of the cities anymore. I mean, even when I go to the cities here, I kind of get, the big cities like Lexington, Louisville, Cincinnati, reminds me of LA, Oakland, San Francisco. And they have smaller cities here that are more developed, but in those cities, they also have country. So it's kind of cool. It's not like a big, metropolitan type city. And just the surroundings here. Look, I do miss the beaches of California, but I got plenty of creeks, caves, rivers, and lakes here to keep me busy, and they're all over the fucking place. I mean, I could go within 30 to 45 minutes one way, an hour the other way, 2 hours that way, 3 hours that way, and I'll hit like a major national park or just like a major river, creek, caves, and just mountainous beautiful shit that you would see up in the Pacific Northwest. But I live here, and that's what Appalachia is about. There's a saying that Appalachia is God's country, and now I understand why. I really do. And I know it sounds like I'm dissing on California, but goddamn, man, I mean, the cost of living is so different, and the people are different. Now, I'm pretty sure, from what the internet says, there's racists out here and Klan members and all that, and there probably are. But I've cruised around Kentucky to places where I used to be nervous because, it's all Caucasians, and I'm used to growing up with brown and black people. But man, they got nothing but love for me here. And they don't treat me weird or anything. I do stand out and I do look a little different. But once we get to talking, we're talking for a half hour, an hour, just being super friendly and polite to each other. And I know, not all of Oxnard is bad, but I could not live there anymore because, the last time I was there, they had rush hour traffic on Terrace Avenue. And if you guys know me and know where I lived, rush hour traffic on Terrace Avenue, I could barely get out of my fucking neighborhood. And that was it for me, man. That was it. And it takes you 45 minutes to go 3 miles? And you know what? And it's just not Oxnard. It's that type of culture, big city culture. I moved out here in the country, thought, oh man, and I moved out here not even thinking about it. I just said, fuck, I got to own that land for how much and what? Gas prices were, at the time, they were $2.15 a gallon. I didn't even think about the culture or what it was like here, or I didn't care if it was Trump country or not. I said, fuck this, I'm moving. And I did have a rough start when I got here, but now I'm settled. Dude, I am living the dream out here, And then if I do want to go to the city, oh man, there's fucking big cities everywhere. Cincinnati's 2 hours away. Lexington's an hour and a half away. Knoxville, hour and a half away, maybe 2 hours. I could go to Memphis in 3 hours. Where else? There's Gatlinburg. Fucking, I could go to New York City in fucking 14 to 16 hours if I wanted to. I could go to the East Coast, Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, I think, or is it North Carolina? I think it's South Carolina. I go to the beach over there in 8 hours. I mean, I'm close to a lot of big cities around here. I could go to Atlanta in 6 hours. You know, I just could go. Get to Chicago in about 6 hours, maybe 7. You know, Detroit, same thing. And it's just, okay, on the west side of the Rockies, it's all like desert, you know, mountains, desert, except for up in the Pacific Northwest where it's really green and mountainous, like here. But on the east side, Midwest east side of Kentucky, it's greener. If you look on the map, the left side of the United States is drier, but when you go towards the Midwest, the South, and the East, it's a lot greener. A lot of trees, a lot of like humidity, and all that. But Kentucky's weather is not bad compared to a lot of the other states around here, you know? And like I said, if I can take it here, and I lived off grid, then any California beach bum could live here. But I'm not inviting you to move here. Not if you're gonna bring, I don't know how else to say it, but if you're gonna spoil the culture here, because the culture is just perfect. Everybody's nice. At least where I live, there's some crime, but mostly it's domestic crime. You know, they keep it in the family. But as for getting robbed and stuff, and like, you know, like the crime you would see in LA, Oxnard, or whatnot, it's not happening here. You know, I mentioned this before, but you could park your motorcycle anywhere in the Walmart parking lot or any parking lot, leave your helmet on your motorcycle without it being locked. You just leave it on your seat, and guess what? It'll be there when you come back out from wherever you're at an hour or two later. People around here are not thieves in the city I live in, or I should say town. But when I say town, it's like it looks like Oxnard back in the 70s, except it's way more spread out, man. It's fucking beautiful here, man. I can't say enough good things about where I live, you know? And when I say it's a slower pace, it doesn't mean we're behind times and shit. It's just things are a lot chill, a lot more mellow. People have mutual respect for each other. There's no shit talking or anything that I know of, that I've ran into. All I can get wherever I go is politeness, respect, and smiles, and long-ass conversations with like-minded people that I meet, or curious people, because people would still come up to me and say, hey, you're not from around here. And now I used to say, no, I'm not. I just moved here. I've been here almost 3 years now, and now I tell them, yeah, I am from around here, but I'm a new transplant. You know, I've lived here almost 3 years. So, yeah, man, when I get back on that Facebook page, which is basically my dog's page, I'm going to just take myself out of that Oxnard group, growing up in Oxnard, because Oxnard's now in my past. You know, I had some great times in Oxnard, but I had a lot of bad times too, you know. And so far, in the 3 years that I've lived here, and, you know, I'm older now, I've had, okay, besides my beginnings here, which is not the city's fault or anything, I just had a rough time starting out here financially. But as for the culture and meeting people in all the towns and cities here in Kentucky, I've had no problems, and I've been, for the first time in a long time, pretty happy. I mean, genuinely happy. And I have to mention that I've been sober, you know, because I know in California, I was always getting high because sometimes I'd be stressed out. Just real quick, in California, when before I moved out of Oxnard, I started getting agoraphobic. I wouldn't leave my house. And then when I lived in Central California, about the second year I lived there, I started getting agoraphobic again. And then when I moved here, because I had a rough start, and I was going through a nightmare, I got more agoraphobic, and at one time I was suicidal. But now everything's panned out for the better, and things are only getting better for me, man. And Kentucky's my new home, man. It really is. And I don't mean to like talk mass shit about California, and sometimes I know it comes out like that, but god damn it. Come to Kentucky and fill your gas tank here, and you're gonna go, what the fuck? If you're from California, go fill your gas tank here and just compare. Instead of spending $80 to $100 to not even fill your tank, you can spend about 30 to 40 fill your fucking tank from it being empty. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Eggs cost, I think, $2.50 for a dozen here. I get my eggs for free, farm fresh. I don't get eggs from the store anymore, man. My sister has 20 chickens. I get my eggs from her. So it's not fucked with, Anyways, that's it, I just can't see how people could live there in California and afford it anymore. Well, one more thing, okay? And this really irks me. I don't know why. Well, because I'll tell you why. I run a hot rod with open headers, okay? Open headers. No mufflers, just the headers out of the engine, that's it. So I'd like to ask, hey, how's your air quality in California? In the bigger cities. How's your air quality? Even in Oxnard, how's your air quality? You're paying for smog checks. Is the air getting any better? And I'll answer that. No, it's not. I'll leave you with that. And, sometimes the brutal truth stings. And I should have got out of there a long time ago. But now I'm so grateful that I'm here and that I'm happy. And because I'm here, happy, sober, and in good health, I'm more grateful for life than I've ever been in my whole life. And since this is the last quarter of my life, I'm going to stay healthy and strong. I'm going to get that 6-pack, and pretty soon I'll have my 2 acres of land paid off and probably buy more property because I could afford it here. Kentucky rocks.